What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And I've been looking forward to this one all week. I've got my friend April Dertian in here from the Dertian Ranch. And, it's funny because it's just the way kind of things work. I always talk about it's not hard to find good guests for the podcast. I've had so many people that have done podcasts that approached me over the years and said, "Oh my God, it's so hard finding guests, isn't it?" And I have to shamefully say, no, it's not. It's really easy when you build connections with amazing people, because I had Jennifer McGovern that was constantly trying to connect me with April and being like, "You got to get her on the show. You got to get her on the show." And, just life happens. And from one reason or another, it didn't work out. And then we ended up being able to circle back, and April was able to go through Difference Maker Boot Camp. And I was able to get to know her story, her company, her purpose, her passion, and all that kind of stuff a lot better. And here we are in the studio. So it circles back, and I'm excited to dive in and help April share her story a little bit more with the world. So welcome, April, to the studio.
Thank you, Jason. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad I finally was able to get in.
I know, right? It's one of those things. And I know this is like your busy time, right?
It is.
We're in mid-June, end of June, going into July.
Mm-hmm. So my nails, I had to get the dirt out from underneath. Not that anybody's going to see it here, but I kind of felt like that, dust off my knees, that kind of thing.
So tell us a little bit about the Dertian Ranch and how that started, or how you started it.
Yeah. So the Dertian Ranch, it's a family-owned business. My husband and I own it, and we are garden educators. That's our purpose, is to educate people on anything that has to do with gardens, conservation, pollinators, and ponds. So that was how we kind of started and started going with it. And then we are very passionate about the community. And so we do fundraisers, and they're flower fundraisers. And that started because I volunteer at the school in a school garden, and we needed a way to get money for the school garden. So we go out into the community, and I will go to an individual's home. We'll do coaching sessions, one-on-one, whatever it is that they need. We host classes both on our property. I have a classroom set up there, and then I'm a member of the Howell Chamber of Commerce and the Hub, and so I'm able to use their classroom when it's not warm out, snowing, or whatever it is. And so we do that, and then we also do community events on our property. So we've got an open house coming up, and in the fall we do some fun things with we call it the Dertian Ranch Pumpkin Patch. So bringing people together. And that helps support our mission of educating people on nature, garden, conservation, things like that, as well as being a community and being here. So we live and work here, so it's really important for us to be part of that.
How did you, is this something that's always been a passion of yours?
Well, so I had on my bucket list to be a master gardener. And I don't know where that came from. I'm going to be honest. I really don't. I love to do gardens since whenever I can remember. My grandparents were huge into doing different things with gardening, and I would go do stuff with my grandpa, which we call Pa. And he always had some kind of little tip he would give. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to put a rock on top of this to do it. And I'm okay. And as time went on, and I'm building my own gardens, and I heard about the Master Gardener program, and I said, I want to do that. That's on my bucket list. And so back in 2017, I think it actually came to Howell. The class is 15 weeks long, and you can only miss one of the classes, and they normally take place in the winter. So with Michigan winters, I had to really make sure that I could actually be able to commit to it, because back in that day, I think it was close to $400. And so for me, that was quite an investment. And so when it came to Howell, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I went and I became a master gardener, and I absolutely loved it, fell in love with everything that we were doing. To be a master gardener, you have to have volunteer hours. And as a new person coming out, you don't know where to go. So I can't come to your house and weed and get my volunteer hours. That just won't happen. You have to have a nonprofit or a church or something like that, and it has to be educational. So they give you programs and places to volunteer. And I chose the Junior Master Gardener program at Challenger Elementary School. It was supposed to be a 6-week program. There were 3 of us that went in, and they said, create this program. There was no framework for it. They said, here, go ahead and do it. And so the 3 of us sat down and we put together this program for the kids. I don't know how much the kids really enjoyed it because it was more oriented towards adults at that time. But I loved it. And so by the end of the 6 weeks, we had 12 kids in the class, and the other 2 ladies said, our volunteer hours are done. Peace out. We're good. And I went to the principal and I said, I really like doing this. Can I keep doing it? And so he allowed me to keep coming, and we turned it into a club. It was a year-long club. And I did this for, well, from the end of 2017 until they kicked us out in COVID. And we did it every single week of the school year. And we planted a school garden. I ended up going to Texas A&M and becoming a certified junior master gardener instructor from that. And like I said, I just really loved it. The kids loved it. I made it so that it was more kid oriented now as opposed to adult oriented. And that's kind of, where it started. Well, when we got kicked out of the school, I tried to do it online. And kids in gardening online, it just wasn't working. And then I also was trying to keep them so busy that within, I think, a month and a half, I had exhausted all of my content for an entire year. I was just giving them things to do all the time. And so we said, okay, this probably isn't working. Let's figure something else out. And in the meantime, I would have adults. Hey, April, can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? Well, we weren't able to be in person because of COVID. So I started doing videos on Facebook, just on my Facebook page. And I'd get out there and I'd put my lipstick on, I'd put my makeup on, and I'd talk, and then I'd erase it and I'd do it again. And finally I said, you know what? This is just me. If I mess up, I mess up.
Yep.
I still put the lipstick on when I did it. But still, I'm like, I'm dirty, you're gardening, you're this. And I started calling myself the lazy gardener. Do what I say, don't do what I do. I'm going to do the experiments and tell you how to fix it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it was just kind of that all through COVID. When we were able to get back in person, I started volunteering again. I volunteered for Selcra, a couple other organizations. But I didn't have a home to do the classes and things like that. And if you've ever done any type of project with kids, if you have an hour's worth of stuff, you better bring 3 hours worth of stuff because they could go through it in 15 minutes or they might not finish it.
Okay.
And I was going to these places and literally carrying totes and totes and totes. And then back in 2022, we were looking for a new place to live, and we found 17 acres out in Howell, and we pulled up to the property, and there was a garage, just a regular garage. It wasn't tall enough to fit my truck in. And I was like, oh my gosh. My father-in-law says, you can park your truck in the garage. I said, I have a classroom.
Oh, I just got shivers. That's amazing.
So and that's really how the whole part of it being a business versus just volunteering and helping. And then I found from there that I could really help more people from that. So that's kind of how it started with that.
I love, and this is a lot of guests that I have on. I call it difference makers. You come through and you like stumble through and you're just taking the action. You're doing this thing that and you find an enjoyment out of it, and then it just kind of keeps on developing into this thing until all of a sudden you pull up and you see it clearly.
Yeah. Yep. And the first couple of classes, it was just a garage.
Yeah.
It was just a garage. And now we have heat and we have air conditioning and we have tables and things like that. And like I said, I've got that. Like I said, joined the Howell Chamber. So I'm able to utilize that space and make it just something that people want to do. And we've just continued to expand from there. Actually, the property spurred the fundraising part of it. I was at the school garden, And the teacher and I were talking. I'd been volunteering for her for years, and we're talking, we need money, we need money. We can't do this, we can't do that. And I said, well, I can grow flowers. Let's do a flower fundraiser. That was not the thing that I needed to do, but I knew I could order these plugs. We were going to do a mum fundraiser. You can order plugs as a business. I got them wholesale. I had, I think, 250 plugs came to my house. I sat for probably a week potting up 250 mums. I don't have a greenhouse. I don't have a watering system. I don't have any of that. I have 250 pots of mums sitting on plastic tables in my front yard that I can see out my kitchen window. And so they're supposed to grow an inch and a half a week. So I'd go every morning. I'd look, I have my cup of coffee. I'd look at my mums. They don't look like they're growing. A couple weeks went by, I look at my mums. They don't look like they're growing. I finally said to my husband, the mums aren't growing. He said, well, how do you know? Did you measure them? I said, I know what an inch and a half is. And he said, they're not growing an inch and a half a week. Jason, I was waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, several times a week. I'm stressed out. I promised the school that this was a fundraiser for them. And so finally, Mike, my husband, he says, if we have to go to Lowe's and buy them, we will do that. He's like, just don't stress. You see, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. So, okay, we have a plan. We'll get this figured out. The mums still weren't growing, by the way. And so my mom, thankful for her, she's always looking out for me. She'd been on Facebook and she found this small farm that said they had mums, they had extra mums, and she sent it to me. So I called the guy and he's like, oh, I can't help you with that. But I have somebody that I work with and I think he can help you. And so I found a place out in Stockbridge. He was a small nursery. And he helped me out. He got me my mums that I needed. We were able to take care of the school. But I also learned that to grow mums for the fall season, you have to not just water them regularly, you have to fertilize them every single time you water them. So you need an actual irrigation system that pumps fertilizer into it. And you have to start them in June. I started in the middle of August because it told me it could grow. They would grow an inch and a half a week.
You're thinking like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've grown lots of other things. Oh, yeah, tomato plants grow like that, all that. But no, these mums do not. So I learned my lesson that I am not a nursery and I am not growing thousands of mums. But I also learned that I could partner with people and make a bigger impact in the community by being able to do that. We've since outgrown our partner from there, and he sent me on to another person because I think we did something like 900 mums last year, where we started out with our 250, and we've been able to donate close to $20,000 since we've been doing it.
Wow.
So it's super exciting that, there's just the two of us. We just, are out there helping in the community.
That is so cool. And again, just a way to make that impact.
Yeah. So, and I just love giving that check. And I at one point got the big checks and we were doing the big checks, but when it's the same school time after time, we just, we do pictures and things like that. But it's still, that's probably the most favorite thing I get to do in all of it. I love teaching. I love being with people, but I really love that impact and to see the difference that we're able to make by just, donating sometimes just a little bit and sometimes a large amount.
It's so cool. And again, I always talk about how it's like not obvious for people. And we were going through boot camp and you were talking about like fundraising and everything. And then and this is why story works so well and why Facebook and like the posting works so well. Because you put a post out about, and it was delivering a check to a senior survivor, I think out of Howell.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I immediately had like this pit in my stomach, like, my son was doing senior survivor, trying to think of ways to fundraise. And I wasn't even thinking about it like that until I saw your post. And then I was like, I should have made that connection.
Well, I kind of, we, as people that like to give back. So I've been in nonprofit. That's my career that I've had forever and ever. And you don't always want to share. You're just doing the good things. And I think I took that in with the Dertian Ranch. I'm not doing it so that people can come say, hey, April, you did this great thing. I'm doing it because I want to make a difference with
Mm.
whatever it is that we're doing. And I realized from being in your boot camp and being part of the hub and all of that, that if I don't share these things, if I don't tell these stories and tell how excited I am to do it, I can't grow to make more of a difference and more of an impact. So
5,000%. If you're keeping it in, I think there was somebody in our in your boot camp cohort, and maybe it was even you that was like, I don't think you were that excited.
I wasn't so. So I one of the schools that we did a
Yeah.
fundraiser for, I gave them a check, and to me, I'm like, oh, this wasn't very much.
Oh, that. Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
I felt bad. I'm like, I don't feel bad, and she was so excited for the check that I gave her. I'm used to giving thousands of dollars, and this was a couple $100. But I thought at that moment, oh my gosh, if she is this excited, I'm making a difference no matter how big the check is. So
5,000%. And again, we, as you work with different people have different goals and expectations and stuff like that. We have no idea what is valuable to somebody. And that $200 was a big deal for her.
it was. It was. I mean, I was writing out the check and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad, give it. And I mean, the look on her face, and she still talks about it. And they're doing it again because it was so wonderful and it helped them so much. So
That is so cool. So, okay, so you have the fundraisers, and then how else do people how else do people to get involved with you? Like, it's the education piece. Like, how does that all work out?
So we have a Facebook page. I'm very active on Facebook. I like to get out there and do silly stuff and show all of my mistakes. So you can always find us there. I put educational content out on Facebook. It's not just a big sales spammy page at all. I try and make it very relevant to what is going on this time of the year. So I think I posted something about fungus, the
Hmm.
blight and things like that are they're airborne coming through. So I really try and make that very relevant. We have a website that we keep updated, and people can come and participate in classes that we put out, public classes, and then we also do private things as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
We actually have been doing quite a few private sessions more than the public sessions, just because that's what it's been. People have been asking. We have a field trip coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I have 130 kids coming out to the ranch, and we're going to do garden and nature education projects, things like that, just to teach them and get them going. I have a couple of businesses that actually use us as team builders.
Oh,
So we do a thing, it's called Pot and Pour. And in the summertime, it's making a pot with annual flowers, and I teach color theory and things like that. But it's very hands-on, and everybody gets to interact. And then when it's winter, we do things to make porch pots, like the holiday porch pots and things like that. But I found that's been very popular. Doctors' offices, actually. I've had quite a few doctors' offices come, doctors and financial advisors. They
wow!
want to bring
Is
their
that
people.
something that they just found you, or how does
They
that?
did. They just found me, and I think it's. I'm I'm pretty out there on social media, or at least I think I
Yeah.
am. I
Yep.
feel like I am. I get people say, "Oh, I saw the Dertian Ranch," so and I have a newsletter, and they've signed up for that, and so I know that's part of it too. So.
So it's interesting. It's interesting from that market standpoint. Did you get those newsletters out to doctors specifically on purpose, or they just found it?
No, they just found it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I
It's just so interesting.
Yeah, I think because of my involvement in the community. So it's not just with
Yeah.
the schools. I'm pretty involved. I volunteer a lot. I volunteer with United Way. I'm a Rotarian, things like that. So possibly
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like wondering what that correlation is. And it's like the healthy standpoint, and, there's a health factor to it. And.
They did not bring healthy snacks.
Nothing. No.
No, they did not.
You can count for the doctors and the nurses to not have healthy snacks.
At one point I did put out there, we do team builders.
Yeah.
Because it's very interactive and they help each other while they're
I was
doing
like, what do
it.
you see in that environment when that happens?
It's a lot of interaction back and forth. Did I do this right? Not just to me, to their colleagues. Did I do this right? Can you help me with this? And you really see them building that pot together. It's funny. It's just a simple pot. And when they first come, they're kind of chatting. And I think it's mostly, I don't think I've had many men come. But anyway, they're chatting and they're kind of standing apart. We set it up and I try and make the tables almost in a circle so that, we're looking at each other. And then eventually by the end of the time or halfway through, they're kind of next to each other and they're helping and stuff like that. And then when we end the pot, they get to walk around the property and you can see them chatting and hanging out. And it turns into more of them. And I'm kind of just standing there. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it's fun to see.
Yeah.
It is. It's fun to get in there and share and educate, because I don't just share and educate, hey, we're just making this pot. I tell them why. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? This is why we're moving the roots. This is why we're doing whatever it is that we're doing.
I love those different forms of team building exercises and ways to get your team outside of the business in working together like that and doing something that's enjoyable, makes them think they got a problem solved. Maybe they probably haven't never done it before. Mm-hmm. And you look at those elements. I used to do when I was a sales leader for this organization. I did a co-ed soccer team.
Okay.
And we ended up playing co-ed soccer at High Velocity in Canton, and it was really cool because you could see how people interacted, communicated. They dropped their autopilot,
yep.
And they're now who they are.
Yes.
And I could see problems that formed later on in their employee life or things that they were stuck on, within work that you could see they get stuck on in life period. And I could see it coming before just by seeing how they interacted in that team environment.
Okay. Maybe I need to have you come and be on the sidelines while they're doing their team building.
That's exactly. We could do a really cool partnership. And it's fascinating. It's that teamwork. And again, you kind of see, especially if you have leadership and you have a whole team.
Yep.
My wife has worked on a lot of male-dominated teams where her opinion wasn't necessarily respected. Mm-hmm. And you can see those elements when you come in, like they're not listening to this person over here. Yep. But she's right. And if they just listened to her, they would get out a whole lot quicker. But their ego is getting in the way. Yes. And you can see, and when we did this a few times, we'd bring them in afterwards and I'd say, in this element, Cheryl, does this happen? Do they not notice your opinion? Yeah. Like it's a why. And how often is Cheryl right? How often could she help you in work and solve the problem, but you're overlooking her?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that'd be a lot of fun.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that and figure something out. Because I get a lot of them and I can really see the interaction in there with them.
We could do a whole debrief afterwards and break down. Yeah, that'd be fun. To me, I love human behavior. And again, it's going beyond that surface of getting them outside of an environment and just, there's the movie Speed. Have you seen the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock from way back in the day?
I probably fell asleep through it.
Okay. My wife's that person too. Yeah. My wife's like, yeah, I probably saw it, but there's at the end of the movie, they like Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock's character, they went through a whole lot of experiences together and they kind of like end up falling in love. And they're like having this conversation of like, hey, we had these, is it just because we've had this close experiences together? Because when you have close experiences together, you feel a different level of affection and bond together.
Yeah.
And it gets you out of something that's not work. You're now having fun, your guard's down a little bit.
Yep.
But it's also problem solving.
I think
Teamwork.
One reason that it really works too is because it's a relaxed environment. Mm-hmm. You're not at a restaurant. It's not loud and noisy. So you can actually talk to people. You You don't have to wear dress clothes. It's just come as you are, bring whatever snacks you want, that kind of thing. And I think that really helps people become themselves and be more comfortable. It's something that almost everybody has done at least a little bit. And so it's not completely brand new. So you would mention the escape rooms. I know I've gone to those before, and I'm horrible at them, and I don't really like to participate.
Too.
And so I could find myself standing off to the side. But with something like this, there's at least something that everybody can do. If you can't plant a flower, you could put soil in the pot. You can help your neighbor go get something, those kind of things. And I know nature is calming as well. And so I think that helps with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting your hand in the dirt and
Yes.
soil and all that stuff.
Yep.
Is a calming nature to it.
It is. And the bacteria is in the soil and all that. I swear I'm going to live to be at 200. I think they have some kind of study that just by getting your hands in the dirt and it makes you live longer, and petting dogs.
I have heard
so,
that.
Yeah.
It's so cool how, as we're talking, and you have all these unique ways, and you talk about, like, I don't have a greenhouse. I'm not doing. There's like you understood pretty quickly where your lanes are. You're not trying to do it all.
No. So I had a business years ago when in my early 20s, and you mentioned your wife and being in male-dominated industries and things like that. And what I found early on with the first business is being a female, and especially a young female, and I was blonde and I was tiny, and it was very much the men dominated. It was an event business. It was festivals and events, and the men dominated it, and I would just do whatever people wanted because I thought they wanted it, and I just needed to make money, or I just wanted to make money. And when we decided to open the Dertian Ranch and become the Dertian Ranch, it's under me, so it's a woman-owned business, and I really wanted to make a point to say, I'm doing what I want to do. I've been there doing what other people want me to do just to try and make a buck, and that's not why I'm doing this. I'm old enough now that I know I just want to be happy with what I'm doing. And if I'm able to enjoy what I'm doing, it will become whatever I want it to be. And so I don't enjoy getting out there for hours and hours on end, potting up plants just to babysit them all week or all summer to sell them. I like making the money to fundraise, for the schools. So how can I utilize my skills and then save that time? Because really, quite honestly, if I were a nursery, I would have to hire people to come out and do that. Our business is at our home right now, so that means that if I wanted to walk around on the weekend in just my sweats, I probably couldn't do that because I would have staff and employees out there, and that's not the life I want. That's not the life I want to live. And so I want to live the life I want to live, and being a nursery is not something that I want to do. I love educating people. I love being able to be in the community. Again, if I had that nursery, I couldn't come here today. I would probably be out there, digging in the dirt and doing. Yes, I love flowers. I love my gardens. I love that. But that's my thing that I like to do. I don't want to go weed somebody else's garden.
I love that, and especially for this podcast, our listeners are entrepreneurs. People, either they're doing the thing or they're thinking about it, right? And it's one of those things, like, there are certain things that even people will lead you, like, oh, are you going to get a location? Are you going to do this? And they hear what you're in, and they have like this in the box thought of what that is. And they try to put that on you. And I just had a client the other day, and her husband came to her and was like, do you want to get a building? And it's like, does that make sense? Like going through, and it really doesn't make sense. But it just seems like that's the next step into becoming a legitimate business, is I'm going to go get a building. But does it make sense to your business, or is it just an expense?
Right. Yeah.
Does it make sense, or is it an expense? I'm a poet and didn't know it. That's pretty good.
I think you're right, though. A lot of business owners just do it because they think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, I want to enjoy my life, and I believe in work-life balance, but if this is my work and my life, it has to be together. I have to be able to do the things that I want to do. And if I get up every single morning and I go, oh my gosh, I have to go out to the nursery and I have to plant flowers, then why am I doing it? I might as well go work for somebody else, because guess what? It's not easy. It's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur.
Yes. And you gotta love the things that you're doing. There's gonna be things you have to do as an entrepreneur that you don't love doing. You have to do it.
Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, if you're doing things in your business that don't really align with your expertise or passion, it's going to fizzle, and you're not even gonna be excited to sell it. You're not even gonna talk about it.
Right. I was reading a book. I don't even remember what the book was. And he was talking about, he was very successful, but he was miserable. He was an entrepreneur, and he was super successful, and he had made millions of dollars, and he was now in his mid-50s. And I think it was a book you recommended. But anyway, he was now in his mid-50s, and he was miserable. He owned this business. He could do whatever he wanted, but it wasn't, he didn't enjoy it. He didn't enjoy life. And he had spent all of his earlier years doing things he didn't like to do just to make a buck. And that wasn't what it was about. And I don't want to do that. I have nieces and nephews that I love hanging out with and doing stuff. I have my family. We have our dogs. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go on vacation. I want to be able to, do nothing if I feel like doing, which is probably not going to happen. But anyway.
But I do think that it's so huge to identify the things that you love to do in the life that you want, because it can be very quickly that we start building something, to your point, that all of a sudden we got the ladder up, we've climbed the ladder, and we're on top of a building that we don't want to be on.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I get down now? One of the saddest stories I ever heard or had conversations I've ever had, and it actually turned out really, really awesome, is a guy, his son played on my son's football team through middle school. And super nice guy. His family was going through a bunch of stuff, and daughter was always was sick and ended up actually passing away. But so they had a lot of hospital experience at this time. And he was a high-ranking leadership at a major car manufacturer. And I remember the first time pulling up at their house. They had a huge house, bunch of nice cars. And I remember that, having the limiting belief for the thought of these people have so much more than we have, like that kind of thing, right? And then a couple of years later, we're having this conversation on the football field about what we're doing, and purpose and finding passion and stuff. And he said, if I could do anything, I would just be a nurse. I just want to help people. I want to take care of people. But he's like, I'm in this position, and he was like, and I've created this lifestyle. And he was like, I don't want to go to work. He's like, I don't want to do anything that I'm doing. But if I leave, all my stuff is gone. All the stuff that I've worked for at this point is gone. And how do I do that? And that's crazy.
And that's why people keep doing the things they don't like to do.
Yep.
So
what's really awesome now is that guy has an organic farm here in the area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He started his own thing, left his company, has his own business. And from what I know, he's extremely happy. So that's an awesome story.
And he has a more fulfilled life.
He has a more fulfilled life.
Yep. Because money isn't everything.
It's not everything.
It is not.
But it's the trap that we get into, and it holds us hostage, because once you do build a life of certain comfort, I know when I started my business and my wife is saying, I want to go on vacation. And then I see people hopping up on their Facebook posts that they're on vacation, and I know my wife is seeing those. I'm stressing because I know we're not going on vacation. We're not going on vacation right now. And it's so easy to quit and go back and get a job and just be like, you know what? This is too hard.
You're right.
It's not comfortable.
No. And there's been times that I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm working 2 full-time jobs, the job that I said would pay my mortgage and the job that I love or the life that I love. But it's hard. And I'm like, I just want to sleep in. I just want to go on vacation, whatever it is. But then you have to look past that and say, okay, I was able to get up this morning, sit out on my deck, drink my coffee, take my dogs for a walk, come back, and then start my day peacefully versus getting up and going, hit the ground running kind of thing. So,
Absolutely. It's like looking at those things. And
yeah,
again, when you're building it, building the things that like light you up,
yeah,
being able to deliver those checks and do those things,
yeah,
make that impact in your community because not everything's easy. You have to have the things that like light you up and bring you energy to
yep.
keep you going.
And isn't there that saying that if it was easy, it wasn't worth it, or something like that?
Yep.
And really, if it's super easy, do you just get bored of it after a while? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not been super easy for me yet, so I don't know about that.
Well, you think about like a video game.
Yeah,
You think about every level gets harder.
that's true.
If every level was the same, you'd stop playing it.
Right. Yep.
You'd lose interest really,
Yeah.
really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what, so as we go through life, video games are just training us for life. Like every time we pass a level, it's going to get a little bit harder. It's going to be change. It's going to be uncomfortable.
I didn't even think about that. I guess I'm not a gamer, but my husband is, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love
Yeah.
analogies when you think
Yeah.
about it, because just bringing it into like how
Yeah.
people operate.
So,
So, so, so what's next? What are you building?
so, well, this year we were doing the fall mum fundraisers. We started doing spring flower fundraisers, annuals. We were asked to bring on Christmas fundraisers, wreaths, and things like that. So we're kind of looking into that. The one thing that we really want to do, it's our bucket list on our goals to become the fundraising company for flowers, nature, things like that in Livingston County.
Love it.
So that we can be the community and be able to be out there and help people. So we've had different asks, so that's part of it. I'm doing a lot of research with that. We've recently gotten into doing ponds. My husband became a certified pond manager through, I think, Penn State and Clemson or something like that. And he really enjoys that. So getting out and teaching people more about that. And then one thing that is on the list, I'm looking into it to see how I can fit it in, but eventually I'm planning on becoming a horticulture therapist.
Mm.
So that is, it's not becoming like a social worker therapist kind of thing.
You got to go take those plants away from them.
I'm sorry, you can't have these.
CPS for plants, like you're knocking on the door. I've heard you're neglecting them. I'd have my plants taken away. I'd be the first one. April would be knocking on my door. I hear you killed every plant you have.
Excuse me, sir. You do not deserve
No, it's horrible. Trisha Turner, when she was on my podcast the very first time, brought me this cactus and was like, "This is the easiest thing. You'll never kill it." And I killed that thing in like a month. It died. I don't know what I did. I watered it too much. And what I heard is you have to like dip it on, like kind of, yeah. And I did not do that.
Well, we don't take plants away.
It's just the first second when you said, "I'm not going into plant therapist." You're like, "Come over."
I know what it is. I didn't even think about that, but that is funny. I'm going to have to add that into my marketing. We're not taking your plants away. But plants, nature, gardening is very therapeutic to so many different demographics. For seniors with memory diseases, they use plant therapy a ton with that. For abuse victims, they use plant therapy a lot for that. I'm a former abuse victim, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that I kind of got into gardening, because it was like my escape. And so if I can take the knowledge that I have and then learn how to use that to help others, I think that is probably one of the next steps. That's a little bit down the road, but I see that it keeps popping up in my Facebook feed. So I must be thinking it or something. I don't think I'm typing it, but I swear it's popped up several times in there, and I just keep going, you know what, that's something that I want to do. And then so now I'm hitting all aspects of of life. I get the kids, and we get to do the day camp and the field trip and the fundraisers with them, and then we have the people in the middle that are struggling, and then we have our seniors or anybody who has those memory type issues. My grandfather had dementia, and I know
Yeah.
that being able to do something with him that he could remember and do, it was just special. And I remember that he and I went, and you are not supposed to do this. We were driving down the road, and there was a tree in the woods. It was very illegal, and we did not go and get a shovel out of the back of our truck and dig that tree up and take it back because he really wanted to do it. But that was something really special that, I have that memory. The tree, of course, died. We didn't do it right. But but I have that memory, and that was something special that he and I could do together. And I think, it helped him. It brought a smile to his face. So if I can help other people that way, then I would really like to do that.
It's so amazing 'cause you do, and we've talked about it, but like kind of that joy of like kind of just digging in the dirt. It's that natural thing. I don't know the science behind it. I know that there are definitely studies and like endorphin release and stuff like that when
Yeah.
you're going through and doing that. But then and I worked in nursing homes when I early in my career in the dementia wing specifically, and it's like those things of just engaging them, keeping them having a little bit of a purpose.
Yes, yeah, it's huge. It's important. I know a lot of the memory centers and the adult daycares and stuff like that. They have those gardening beds out there and things, just a little bit that they can do here and there. So
I know we had talked about this, me and you, a little bit, but talking about your experience with abuse, and I was just sharing with you kind of the same thing. And we talk about like our experiences that impact us in life, and then how we show up. And it's like when we get a vehicle and a thing, and
yeah,
how we can then turn around and help people that went through similar experiences.
yeah. So it's been over 30 years, I think probably 35 years, and it took a really long time for me to be able to share it, express it. And now that I'm past that point, if I can help other people, because I didn't know how to help myself back then, I think that's huge and important. And like I said, that's probably one of the things between my grandpa and between my my situation. It probably led me all to this. I didn't know it back then. I didn't know when I was doing it. I just knew it made me feel better. I just knew I liked to do it. So
And then tying it in and going into the kids, like
yeah.
that was like almost an easy one because you were already there.
Yeah, yeah, and it was fun, I think. So my husband and I struggle. We can't have children, and so I think that was just my thing that I was like, oh, I can come. I can help these kids. There's a
Mm,
reason. I think there's a reason for everything,
mhm.
and so that was something. It was the reason. If I had a whole slew of kids, then I probably wouldn't have been able to be out there and do those day camps and things like that. So, yeah,
We had one, but we wanted more, and it was just kind of the same thing. And it was like a kind of a stuck point of, just a sadness
yeah, yeah,
of, in this sounds crazy, but I did a past life like whole thing. I had a client that did this whole like thing, and it actually was this major release, and like the whole point of the whole thing I got out of it was that you can impact people and have kids and families in other ways.
yeah.
And that's, I guess, how I then turned and like had to shift.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. I don't know for men, but I know for women in particular, Mother's Day comes
Yeah.
and everybody's celebrating and stuff like that. And it was really hard to begin with. But then when I started saying, you know what? Because this couldn't happen for me, I can make this happen for somebody
Mm,
else. I
mm,
can do this. During COVID, the kids had to stay home from school. Well, my sister and brother in law both had jobs that they couldn't stay home. And at that time, I've got two nieces. My sister has two daughters. And the youngest was fourth grade, third grade, something like that, and the oldest was in high school. But anyway, they were struggling and stuff like that. So we were able to be the
mhm.
people. They came and they stayed at our house during the week, and we were able to help them, through school and stuff like that. I think that told us we probably didn't want kids full time. No, I love my nieces.
But you're
So
able to send them back.
I bet I was able to send them back. So, but it's just things that there was a reason.
Hmm.
There was a reason for everything, and so now I can take what I'm doing and I can help the schools. I can help other kids in the community. I can make a huge impact. Um, and like I said, in ways I probably couldn't have done if I had a whole slew of kids running around.
I heard this sermon a few months ago, and it was like, God has a plan, but he's looking for willing participants. And it's like one of those things, like, a lot of times there's things that we have to really fight. We really want it, and we have to really fight, and it's really, really hard, and and it's just not working. And then there are things that you just land that just seem really easy. And I'm not saying you don't have challenges and hard times, but all of a sudden just opportunities open.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So being with the kids in the school, that was one of those. It was absolutely, and it just showed me that I could do what I didn't know that I could do, or I didn't think I could do. And it also, it not only helped the kids, it did help me, it helped build self-confidence. As a female, I mentioned early on, you had the men telling you couldn't do this or you could do that. And so you have those thoughts in the back of your head.
1,000%.
I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm not that. And being that person that is in front of those kids, I'm going to tell you it's intimidating. It was 3rd through 5th grade, and they will call you out and tell you, Miss April, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So it just helped with all of that, I think. And I think if I hadn't had all of those experiences, and I wouldn't have the opportunity, and I wouldn't be where I am today, and the Dertian Ranch wouldn't be what it is, we probably wouldn't be in existence, honestly.
Yeah.
We would just be doing our things. We would just be working our jobs and going on vacation and things like that versus making this huge impact. I keep going back to that because I really believe that making an impact helps everyone. It helps the community, it helps your family, and it helps you as well. I know that when I'm not able to be out there and doing things, I'm a very people person, so that's part of it. But I don't have that energy. I don't have that life in me. So if I'm sick and I'm home for 3 days or whatever, I'm just kind of not just because I'm
Yeah.
sick, but because I'm not out there. I'm not able to do things. So.
I hear that. That was my week this week, unfortunately. And I was like, there's too many things going on. I've got to get out of the house. But yeah, no, I'm a people person too. And it's like one of those things, like I get energy from being around people yeah. Man, this is such a fun conversation. I love how these things have developed. And again, going back into it and realizing your lane, where you're finding your energy, as opposed to trying to be so many different things.
Yep. And it's changed. When we first started doing it, we're going to do this. And we had all
Yeah.
of these different things we were going to do. And I would share it. And then we'd be like, oh, maybe not that. That's probably not working. And I think we're really finally finding our path. And we're still a baby business. It was 2020, September of 2022, and we didn't really start getting going until 2023. So, so we're still small, we're still growing. We've got lots of things, big things coming. I don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
But they're out there.
Well, and just even taking over the fundraising, because I'm sure that there's a lot of open opportunity for that.
There is. Our largest, our competitor, our closest competitor, they make a significant amount of impact in the community just in August and September. And if we can do that here in Livingston County, I would just be ecstatic. If I could just do that every single day, go out and give checks away, and be able to announce on my social media, "Hey, we gave another check away," I think it would be like, what is that? The Publishers Clearinghouse? Maybe I get some balloons and stuff like that.
And big man knocking on your
That's
door.
right, on
Yeah.
your door. But to see the faces, the one teacher that I work with and help out at the school garden, she's just ecstatic all the time. So we're at Hutchinson Elementary School in the school garden. If you haven't had a chance, go out there and check out their school garden. It's amazing. Miss Droscher is awesome.
So awesome. So what is one of your favorite stories of impact that you've seen so far?
It has to be that $200 check.
Yeah.
It really does. She really struggled to get the school on board. It was very last minute. Everything was last minute. And the program that we were fundraising for was a music program. And I think it was the middle school music program. And she said it's really difficult. People don't really want to fund that because the music, and it was for their trip. It was a trip. I think they were going to DC is what they were doing. But she said it was really difficult to get people to fundraise for it or to give dollars because that's an extra thing. And she said that made a difference in being able to help so many kids that probably wouldn't have been able to go. And I thought, again, back to, it was a little more than 200, but anyway, it was just 200. But to her, it was, it was 200. And that was, like I said, just huge. Maybe the first time also that we were able to do that fundraiser, that those 250 mums that I thought I was going to have to buy from Lowe's to be able to do that, that really kicked everything off. And that year, the school garden was able to purchase picnic tables and really start growing the space. And so now it went from being just a garden where they had a couple vegetables, they plant a couple flowers, to it's a learning space for the school. They do reading out there, they do math, and they really use the entire space for more than just gardening. So
That's what's really cool because it's an impact that lasts.
it is, yeah.
It's something you can visually see. You're like, go check it out.
You can visually, and I have pictures from when we very first started. I mean, I wasn't there when the garden first started, but from when I started helping out to where it is now. And I go and I'm a little bit hands-on there, but it's the school and it's the impact that we've been able to make with those dollars that they've been able to go out and purchase the things that they needed, because you can only get so much donated. So now we've been kind of in talks. We're hoping to be able to find a space to do a wildflower area to teach the kids about conservation and stuff like that. And so I'm helping with grants and all that kind of stuff. But it's just fun. It's exciting to see the garden grow, the kids get excited, the teachers be excited about it. So
it sounds like the sky is really the limit for where Dertian Ranch is going with all the things that you're developing.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. When I first started, I went, how can I make money doing this? I can't make money doing this. I mean, going out and coaching people, because that was my thing. I'm just going to coach people. And really, honestly, I probably have to have like 25 of me going out and coaching to pay my mortgage. Well, then it probably wouldn't even pay my mortgage, because then I'd have to pay everybody else to do that.
Yep.
And so and my husband's like, have fun, do your thing, do what you want to do. He's very open. And then the more we started seeing the vision and seeing what we could do, the bigger and bigger. And it really wasn't until maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years, that he really got on board. He has a full-time job. He works, and he had to take days off to help with the spring fundraisers because we had grown so much that we needed that extra help. And like I said, he became a certified pond manager so that he can be part of it, and he sees it. And now he is the one with the different visions and goals and things like that. We have to have staff meetings.
That's awesome. Between you two?
Between the two of us. Yep. Actually, I think that was because of you from the Difference Makers boot camp.
The 10-year goal thing? Yeah.
We would have to repeat back what we said we would do. And I remember coming in and I'm like, I didn't have that staff meeting. And I'd come home and Mike would say, well, maybe you should listen to Jason. Maybe we should have that staff meeting. So we would have a meeting, and then he said, well, I need you to email me about it. I'm like, seriously, you're down the hall. Your office is down the hall from mine. He said, I need to put it on my calendar. If this is a business, we have to do that. And so
love it.
I would give him sticky notes, and he said, I need an email. So then I started sending emails. Dear all staff, this is This is a mandatory requirement. You must put this on your calendar.
Now he's like, now I don't want to. And now it's mandatory.
Funny thing was he didn't respond to the email. So I walked down to him. I'm like, I sent the email like you asked me to. And he said, well, I got it. I said, the least you could do is respond that you got it. So the next email was, you must reply all that you've received this and you're in compliance or something like that. So,
that is so much fun.
So that's our entertainment now.
Half the battle of staying sane as an entrepreneur is just having fun.
It is.
And finding joy and humor in the little things. All staff.
Yep.
It's a requirement.
All staff requirement. And then I will say to him, well, I'm the boss. So he said, well, he's the accountant and he's the one who manages the money, so I need to be nice to him.
This is awesome. That is so cool. But it's, again, and it's fun. But at the same time, there is some elements of like, if you want it to be a serious business, there are some serious things that you got to apply to it. And those meetings are powerful. They
are. We, that's how we do our planning. No, we're not sitting down at a conference table and taking notes and stuff like that. But we do actually, we've started, planning. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what happened. We do debrief from, different things that happened or, events. Or I shouldn't say events, I guess the fundraiser, okay, this is what happened with this. We need help with this. I need help with this. How can we make this work? We both have different skill sets. We work really well as a team. We always have. I guess that's 30 years of
super awesome.
Yeah, being together. So, but yeah. So, and we realize that it can't just be the two of us forever and ever, and we need to make those priorities, those processes now, so that it's not difficult. Well, it'll be difficult, but so that it's not a surprise and it's not all brand new. Not like, oh no, now we have to have staff meetings. Oh no, now we have to have, no, we've already been doing this. We already have processes. We already have things that we're doing. I think I said once when we were in boot camp, in my job that pays me, from somebody else, I wouldn't do the things that I do with my business. I wouldn't not have a debriefing. I wouldn't not have a process. I would. Those are all things you do. So you need to start incorporating those into there.
I remember that moment in boot camp, and it was like that. It was a major realization.
It was.
Know that when you go to work, you go and do all these things to make sure that the organization you work for is successful, and then you go home and it's like more lax.
Right. So, and it's so funny because Mike says to me all the time, well, Jason told you.
I love it. I can't wait to meet Mike.
I said, I'm never going to tell you about boot camp again. So, but no, it definitely helps. It makes a huge difference in organizing, coordinating. Not that you don't want to do it, not that you don't know how to do it, but if something happened to me and we had 20 fundraisers set up, we can't let down those 20 people that we've already committed to. Like there has to be a way for somebody else to take the reins and be able to do it, even if it's not anybody to do it. We're a business. We're doing this. We want to make impact in the community, and so in order to continue to move forward that way, we have to have processes. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if somebody's going to, you're going to get into a car accident. You don't know.
You have no idea.
No, you don't. No.
You have no idea. I won't share that. So, there's obstacles that come into our way all the time. I got a cold at the end of the week, and there's a couple of days I had a fever, and it was like all like whatever, and like I've got too many things to do. Or we started a new boot camp group last week, and one of the guys came in this morning, and he was like, "Man, I had this goal to get all these things done, and then I got hit with old man problems, and I won't get too detailed into what he's got going on, but he's like this and this, and now I'm in all this pain, and you start making all these excuses that this is happening, and but you still got to do it.
You do. If if you were at a job that paid or that somebody else
You
paid
still find a way to make it work.
Still have to do
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
You might have sick days, but you don't have unlimited sick days, because if you had unlimited sick days, you wouldn't have a job. So,
Yeah.
and I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're first starting out, think like that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. No, and a lot of times, and what point, and maybe it was never this way, but what point did it go from a hobby to a business for you?
Probably when the fundraisers really started kicking off, and I went, oh my gosh, we can actually make enough revenue. So I'm not going to lie, the fundraisers are part of our revenue. I mean,
for sure.
it has to be. But when we went, wow, we can really, I can pay my mortgage doing this. I can grow. We can do other things. I can not have to work, for somebody else if we are just able to grow this to, X percent or whatever it is. So it was probably then, like when the fundraisers really started taking off, that we went, oh, it's not just April going out and having fun anymore. April's still having fun, but now it's an actual, like, okay, we've got to do this.
I love how you just phrase it like that. Like it's like Nike. You just got to do it. And I think that's a sweeping, throughout this conversation and you going through your story. It's like, we started off doing this and thinking about coaching and really thinking, can I really pay my mortgage doing this and how many coaching? But as you're doing it, you're finding these experiences. You're finding the fundraising opportunity and making that work. And then you're putting all these things together. You wouldn't find that if you just sat and thought about, oh, that'd be nice.
Right. Yep. Well, like I said, it started out to be one thing, and now it's evolved to doing these other things.
Yep,
I did that. I liked that. It wasn't my favorite. I like this more. This is going to be more successful than this. Once I get this up and really going, I can go back and dabble in this if I want to, kind of thing.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. We can't predict what's coming.
No.
Really, even. Having a content studio was not in my plans. When I started my business and I had this clear vision of what I thought was going to happen, but then as I'm taking action, this thing kept coming back. Like I was telling you, it was like, it keeps coming back. And it's also something that I love doing, and how did it all tie in?
Yeah. It's funny. Like you said, there's a plan.
There's a plan.
There's a plan.
Yep.
Everything happens for a reason. I really do. I say that all the time, and people kind of laugh at me. But I do. I really believe that. We, before we moved to our 17 acres, we lived in a subdivision, and we were kind of not really subdivision people. We had a really nice estate home. It was beautiful, all those kind of things. But new neighbors, things like that. We're really country folk. And it happened, we had a couple neighbors that we weren't really friends with, which made us really want to leave that subdivision life to be where we are now and go, oh, wow. So.
It's so cool how those transitions and change, how change brings,
Yep.
It may even feel uncomfortable for a minute.
Yep. I'm going to tell you, I would never have thought that my husband would be, he's not a farmer, but kind of. He has a big tractor and things like that. He was not that person. I remember back in our 20s and 30s, he wanted to be that executive. He wanted that big house. He wanted all of that. And we're on vacation next week, and guess what? We're not going anywhere because he said, why go someplace when you're at the greatest place on earth already? And he's going to be in his tractor, and he's going to be those things. That wouldn't have been something 20-year-old, 30-year-old April and Mike would have said we're going to do. We wouldn't have said, oh, we're going to live on 17 acres and work our butts off all the time. Keeping it. That's not something we would have said, oh, we're going to drive fancy cars. We're going to have big, nice house. We're going to all of that.
You never know what life is going to bring you.
You don't. Nope. So...
That's that was awesome. You give me the shivers earlier, and then that was for the first time in a while I've been hit with like an emotional moment. That's really cool. Like you're not going on vacation because I'm already on this beautiful place.
Well, that's his.
You're like, let's go on vacation.
Let's go on vacation. So I said we've been there since 22, and I have gone away. But last fall is the first time that he has ever left. I mean, not left, but gone on vacation anywhere. And I think that's because he thought maybe he might not have a wife if he did, if he didn't actually go on vacation someplace.
So he loves being at home.
He does. He loves being at home, but he just loves being in on the property and doing all the things and composting and tractoring is what he calls it, and those kind of things. And we have a life that we enjoy, we love, and we want to be part of every single day versus, okay, how can it be better now? How can it be better? When you're wanting to be that high up executive, you're shooting for the big dollars all the time, or the big house or the fancy cars. It's like, how can I always be better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas now, how many more flower beds can I add? How many more compost piles? It's different. It's a different thing when you wake up in the morning.
I bet.
It is.
So you mentioned the Howell Chamber and the Livingston Business Hub a few times, and this is really cool. And I talked about before, being, for me, and I didn't talk about this before, but for me, starting my business and think something that I've always wanted to be my whole entire life was make an impact in my community, and for people to know who I am in a good way, like make a positive impact. And when I started my business specifically, I remember thinking, I want to help people specifically in the Brighton Howell area, like change the way the business is being done. And then I got to be a part of, and I was doing the boot camps and everything, but I got to be a part of the Howell Chamber and the Livingston Business Hub program over the last year and a half as we built this out and built out Difference Maker Boot Camp and all that kind of stuff. And I was out there last Thursday, and they're up for the Chamber of the Year in Michigan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I should read my emails.
Yeah, so I think it's one of two or three. There's one of just a very few. So they're up for Chamber of the Year in the state of Michigan, which is
that's awesome.
Obviously huge, awesome,
Yes,
huge
awesome.
accomplishment. But I was talking to Janelle, and she was like, one of the reasons why we're up for Chamber of the Year is because of you and Kevin and the programs we have going on. And I'm like, I didn't really even think about it. Like, she was like, yeah. She was like, that's what's the big differentiator and the things that we're doing to work with entrepreneurs to take them to that next level. And I'm like, wow. And it's like, I kind of knew that, but then when you hear it from somebody, it's like a whole different other weight. And I don't know why I'm getting emotional all of a sudden, but it's that dream of being able to go out and make that impact that I wanted to make. But it's how cool to be able to be part of something. And I know Janelle's vision is grand of what she wants to do and the impact that she wants to make, but how cool to be part of something like that.
That is awesome. So I know I have been in the community forever, and at all my other jobs, we've always been members of the Chamber of Commerce and the Dertian Ranch as well. But the hub part of it and what Janelle and Diane have brought into the chamber has just been huge. The grant that I received last year, it made such a difference. I was able to take some AI training, which now I'm able to use ChatGPT. Veronica is my best friend. I do everything, which I wouldn't have been able to do that. I couldn't, as a small business owner. I can't afford to go out and do all of the trainings and things like that, even if I wanted to. You can't. You're a small business owner, but being able to do the trainings and then being in the boot camp was huge. I was able to meet new people, get the knowledge from you, the experience, the education, and I know that that made a huge difference in growing the business. Through the hub, and the grant, I was also able to get, it was a marketing.
Yeah.
The marketing consultation, I worked with the company
RevB.
Yep, RevB. I worked with them, I think, for 6 weeks. And oh my gosh, it was just amazing. I had 4 people from New Jersey. I have to figure out why New Jersey try and buy flowers for my flower fundraisers. But it started happening after we started adjusting my website and figuring out different things in my social media that I didn't know anything about.
Oh, amazing.
Yep. And again, I would not have been able to afford to have the consultation from them and all of the information and the education. So the hub has been huge. We get emails regularly about all of the different opportunities for small businesses. Even if you don't get the grant, anybody can do them. There's a lot of free things. I know they work with the Spark, Ann Arbor Spark, and there's a ton of things through the hub and Spark that help entrepreneurs. I highly recommend the Howell Chamber. Anytime anybody asks me, what are you doing? What are you, how are you moving your business forward? I say, I'm part of the chamber. You need to join the chamber.
So awesome. And again, you're hitting the nail on the head of like when you start a business and as an entrepreneur, you're trying to piece it all together and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it all out, and there's things that you're great at, and there's things that you don't want to do, but you have to. And how do you get that training when, and you talked about earlier, like making that $400 investment in 2017, and that's a lot, and it's a lot to come up with. And so how important is it when an organization can come out and be like, we can get you and take you and improve our community?
Right. And just being in the hub and being with other business owners, and like I said, the processes. I like gardening. Who would have ever thought now I need to make a process manual for, that's not something that you think about when you start doing things that you love doing. You just want to do them. You just want to be part of whatever it is, whether you're helping people or whatever. But there's all that behind the scenes stuff that you have to do. But like you said, if you don't know, you don't know. So I think that's the great thing. I can know that I can always call the chamber for anything that I need. Hey, I need help finding, I don't know, X, Y, and Z. Do you have a room that I can use type things? So before we had our classroom and before we had heat in our classroom, I used the conference rooms up there. And it was wonderful. I wouldn't have been able to grow the education part in the classes of my business if I didn't have that resource available to me.
It's been huge for me too, just to have that opportunity to have that space. Yeah. And it's a nice space.
It is. It's a very nice space. Those touch screens. I so want one of those touch screens in my classroom now.
Too. Yeah.
That I know I cannot afford, so I guess I'll have to keep coming back and using the hub.
Well, and they even went down. They have the whole podcast studio inside.
Yes.
So they're adding these different elements that entrepreneurs need. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see where they're going, and I'm going to have to read that email about them.
Yeah, it was on a Facebook post. I'm not sure if it probably came out in an email to you, but my email. I see more Facebook posts and I see emails sometimes. Like some of them go to junk mail and stuff like that.
I get a million emails.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially with fundraising.
Yeah. So, fundraising, and then all the people that want to solicit you to help you with your fundraising.
Yes. Hey, Jason, I've got qualified leads for you. You want to hop on a call? I've got like 5 of those emails today. Yeah. For you, like getting into boot camp, what were some of the major initiatives that you wanted to do, or you wanted to go to that program for?
So I had a business coach, and I absolutely love my business coach, but I wanted that extra sales aspect for it. I don't know if we mentioned it here, if just when we were talking. I'm a people person, and I think I can do sales, but that's not really my favorite thing to do. And so that's what really made me want to join your boot camp, because I knew that you were, sales was your thing. And I believe that going in and learning how to use my story a little bit more. I mentioned I've been in fundraising forever and ever, so I know about stories, but it's difficult to talk about yourself. It's difficult to take that story and share it to be able to do your own sales pitch. I could talk about somebody else left and right. I could tell you somebody else's story and without even blinking an eye, and I could probably make you cry. But to stand up there and talk about me and share that with somebody, that's difficult. So even what we shared today, I don't share with a lot of people, a handful of people know, but I've taken to use that in talking to people. And I can help you because I had this challenge and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know specifically for you, we had talked quite a bit after the outward mindset session. How did that, what did you think about that?
A lot of times when you are in fundraising, the dollar, I guess probably in sales too, you just think about the dollar, and you have to stop and go, if you don't think of that person as a person versus a dollar, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to break that barrier. You're not going to get through to them because you're phony. I mean, really quick. I don't know. I was trying to think of words like how can you? But you're phony. And if you don't really have, I don't even know if it's necessarily a full relationship, but if you're not concerned about that person, if you don't really care what their problems are, and they're really just a dollar to you, you're not going to be able to get the most out of it, I guess. So you might get that initial sale, but you're not going any further if you don't care. I have some coaching clients, and if I didn't care about what their gardens look like, and I didn't call them and say, hey, it's going to frost, you need to cover up X, Y, and Z, I don't have to do that. But hey, you should probably be doing this because you're going to be very sad, the frost hits it. If I didn't care about that, they're not going to continue with me. They're not going to refer me to anyone. It's going to be that one and done sale. And thank you very much. And carry on. And hey, guess what? You have to start your sales cycle all over again. So being able to take that information, I knew that as a fundraiser. I knew that as a person, just being a person in the community. But to be able to take the information that you had and put it together to be able to share with other people in a way that wasn't offensive, because sometimes I kind of sometimes say what I think, and that's not necessarily what you should do when you're trying to change somebody's mind.
It's like the peanut or the compliment sandwich. Like,
Yes.
You're really good at this.
I'm not the one.
Yeah.
Hey, let me handhold you. Hey, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, aren't you an adult? Just do that.
Yeah.
So, but that helped. That session really helped, and I was able to formulate some conversation to be able to effectively go, okay, this is what I would have done in that situation, and I feel this is what you probably need to do. I see why you did this, but let's switch that, and let's try and add a little bit of what you did, a little bit what I would do, and see how it goes from there. So
that's awesome. I'm glad you're able to help out.
Yeah, it helped.
Awesome. April, this has been such an awesome conversation. Thank you so much I'm glad you finally were able to come down.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know I was just like, I have to do that. You sent me that text and said, hey, I was thinking of you. And I was like, oh, crap. and then I didn't schedule it then. So,
I was excited when I seen your name come through. So
I was like, oh, I have vacation next week. I better do this before I have vacation.
Oh, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I'm so glad the vacation worked out and the timing came down and we finally got you in the studio.
I am too. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It was fun.
Thank you.